Hi, everyone. My name's Tracy, and we are continuing our journey through the Bible. Today, we are looking at the flood, one of my favorite topics. And before we go on, I just want to let you know that we're not going to go into too many details today, and we're not going to go too deep into the science because my intention for this series is just a quick overview and to just cover the topic briefly so that people that aren't familiar with it will become more familiar. Also, based on my own research and looking at the evidence, I currently think that the catastrophic plate tectonics theory is the most viable, but we are, once again, not getting too much into the science. So just wanted to let you guys know that up front. So let's begin. So the flood, just some basic overview points. That Noah and his family was in the ark for 371 days. And we believe the flood happened about 2350 BC. So that would put it about 4,300 years ago. And then there are over 300 flood legends around the world in different people groups and cultures. So you can really see that this event did affect a worldwide population and that those memories have been continued on through oral traditions and stories. So I find that quite interesting. And then some people, excuse me, some people wonder if there is enough water today to really let the events of Noah's flood happen. Well, if we took all the land and flattened the mountains, and then pulled the ocean floor up so all the land and ocean was flat and made smooth, the water would actually cover the earth 1.6 miles. So there really is plenty of water on the earth for the Noah's flood to happen. All right, so, excuse me. And so then I just wanted to show you this graphic about the flood chronology. It's just a visual showing you that the water rose for pretty much 150 days. And then after that, we see it receding. And then the final part is the drying off of the land. So that's the chronology there. And then the ark, just to touch on it, the proportions that were given by God were perfect for stability, strength, and comfort. It's comprised of 3 decks and then an opening at the top called a window. And it was plenty big enough for all the animals and Noah's family, probably with some room to spare. So we're talking it was pretty massive. All right, so then I wanted to touch on the geology of the flood. And so to do this, just wanted to let you know that the processes and the results of the flood can really be explained by our modern understanding of geology and plate tectonics. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with plate tectonics, down here you can see example here is that our crust, that's this top layer over the mantle, is broken up into several pieces, and these pieces are moving today. Some of them are pushing up against each other, and some are pulling apart. But so this is the plate tectonics theory, although it's been proven. Today the movement is pretty small, probably about 1 to 3 centimeters a year, roughly. And so yeah, that's plate tectonics. And so I believe that the flood was really the beginning of plate tectonics. And so I'm going to kind of walk you through that. All right, so then to begin, at the beginning of the flood or before the flood, we probably can see a lot of subterranean water underneath the uppermost levels of the crust. And we can even see that today. There's a water table under the continents. People all over the place drill wells for their personal homes. And so there really is, even today, a lot of subterranean water. And so we just think before the flood that there was probably a greater amount of subterranean water. And then we also think that there's no plates before the flood. so that this flood event was actually the beginning of the creation of the plates. And so here's what kind of happened. We believe there was a trigger, and of course we can't know exactly what the trigger was. We can't prove it, so basically just a lot of theories. But at this trigger, the crust of the earth begins to tear apart. And you can see up here the ocean spreading ridge today is where the plates began splitting and breaking apart. And so as they break and split apart, we have all of this magma or lava down in their mantle. So that's all molten rock that's brought upward then as the crust splits. And all of that hot magma touches and comes in contact with all of this relatively cold ocean water. Well, that just creates kind of an explosion based on the temperature and pressure differences. And so then we have catastrophic erosion, and the water is vaporized and pushed up, probably spouting hundreds or thousands feet in the air. And then it vaporizes and then hits the upper atmosphere, and then it probably condenses and comes down as torrential rain. And this is what the Bible describes as the fountains of the deep breaking open. And so as that happens, you can see this water being vaporized and shot up. And it definitely would look like fountains breaking open. And so as that is occurring then, we also on the other side, then we have, as these breaks, we have plates that start subducting and getting pulled down into the mantle. And so as that happens, that the plates then pull down and then they pull apart faster up here. And so we have kind of a runaway mechanism where these plates, they believe, actually got going pretty quickly during the flood. They're thinking that the speeds during the flood could have reached upwards of meters per second. So when you consider a whole continent going meters per second across the ocean, we're talking massive catastrophes. Yes, sorry, catastrophes. And so that is happening. And then, so all of this geology then is creating massive amounts of volcanism as magma is being created and shooting up from the mantle at the tears. And then we also have earthquakes, probably at levels that exceed our Richter scale today, just based on all of this that's happening during the flood. It was probably beyond what we can imagine. And so then, as this is happening, where the plates are pulling apart, we're getting massive erosion as it's pushing up faster and faster, and the plates are pulling apart. So all of this ocean floor is getting pulverized and eroded, and is mixing into the water. As these over here, the plates are subducting, we're getting the plates are pushing and pulverizing the ground as it's subducting. Erosion is happening there. And then because of just everything happening, the earthquakes and all of this water begins to create massive tsunamis, like worldwide tsunamis that are covering the continents. And that is as the water is rising. And so these tsunamis and the increasing water level is very turbulent. So we're talking, it is just pulverizing and eroding the land as it's going. And so you can really see how it basically destroyed anything that was before the flood, all land features, any signs of human civilization was pulverized to powder probably. And it's just massive forces we're talking about. So then after these processes, the energy dissipates, slows down towards the middle of the flood. Then we see the ocean floor beginning to cool. And so as it cools, it sinks back down, and the continents are buoyed up. And then we have the water then running off of the land into these newly formed deep ocean basins. And that is how we see the world today then. This is where the plates ended up. After they had gone so fast too, I should just mention that as they crashed into one another, this is how we got today's mountain ridges, the Himalayas, the Alps, the Andes. They all run parallel to plate boundaries where they've crashed against each other. And so that the forces that cause those mountains, obviously, we think are the runaway plates during the flood, because we really don't see mountains being formed to the level that they are today. So yes, and so then as the water pours off the continents into the new ocean basins, then the land dries off, and then we have the end of the flood, where God invites Noah out to a brand new world. So in light of this, I found a video that I wanted to share with you guys. And it basically is just a, I'm gonna get rid of that. It's basically just a visualization of what the flood could have been like. And so I hope you enjoy. It's really short. All right, so that was that. I hope you enjoyed that. I think that video was put on by the Answers in Genesis Ministry. And that is our lesson for the flood. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful day.